Tom Cruise, one of Hollywood's most enduring and recognizable superstars, has spent more than 4 decades at the center of global cinema, redefining what it means to be a leading man. Beyond the blockbuster films and carefully crafted public image, however, lies a romantic history that has been just as closely scrutinized as his career. His love life, marked by whirlwind romances, 3 high-profile marriages, and intensely public breakups, has long fascinated audiences around the world. But behind the fame and speculation, who were the people who truly shaped his journey through love? In this video, we take a deep dive into the complete dating history of Tom Cruise, from his earliest known relationships to the present day. Born in 1962 in Syracuse, New York, Tom Cruise grew up in a family that moved frequently, a pattern that would later mirror the restlessness often noted in his adult life. His childhood was marked by instability, both geographically and emotionally, as his parents divorced when he was still young. These early experiences shaped a sense of independence and determination that would later define his rise in Hollywood. Initially, Cruise considered a very different path. As a teenager, he briefly explored the idea of becoming a Catholic priest while attending a seminary in Cincinnati. That chapter was short-lived, but it revealed an early search for structure, meaning, and belonging. When acting entered his life, it quickly became more than a career choice. It offered direction, identity, and a sense of purpose that had been missing during his formative years. Cruise relocated to New York City in the early 1980s to pursue acting full-time. His ambition was evident from the start. After small roles in films such as Endless Love and Taps, his breakthrough came with Risky Business in 1983. Almost overnight, he transformed from an unknown newcomer into one of Hollywood's most promising young stars. With that success came intense media attention, not only toward his work, but also toward his personal life. As his star power grew, so did public fascination with his relationships. Cruise was quickly positioned as a romantic leading man, often cast opposite actresses who embodied intelligence, beauty, and emotional depth. These on-screen pairings blurred the line between fiction and reality, encouraging audiences to project romantic narratives onto his real life. Hollywood, at the time, thrived on such narratives, and Cruise became one of its most compelling figures. Throughout the 1980s, his career accelerated at a remarkable pace. Films like Top Gun, The Color of Money, and Rain Man established him as both a box office draw and a serious actor. Yet with fame came relentless scrutiny. Every appearance, every friendship, and every rumored romance became a topic of discussion. Cruise learned early that in Hollywood, privacy was a rare luxury. This environment played a crucial role in shaping his romantic life. Relationships were often formed under intense pressure, with little room to develop away from the public eye. Media speculation frequently framed his personal decisions as reflections of his public persona, creating narratives that were difficult to escape. Over time, this dynamic would contribute to patterns seen throughout his dating history. By the end of the 1980s, Tom Cruise was no longer simply an actor on the rise. He was a global celebrity whose personal life carried nearly as much cultural weight as his films. It was during this period that his first serious, widely reported relationship emerged, marking the beginning of a long and complicated chapter in his romantic journey. Tom Cruise and Melissa Gilbert dated from 1981 to 1983. At the time, both were young actors navigating the early stages of their careers. The though they occupied very different positions within the industry. Gilbert was already a familiar face to television audiences, while Cruise was still working to establish himself in Hollywood. They reportedly met through mutual friends during a period when Cruise was beginning to gain attention for his early film roles. Their relationship developed away from the intense media spotlight that would later follow him, allowing it to remain relatively private by Hollywood standards. Friends described the pairing as earnest and grounded, shaped by youth, ambition, and a shared understanding of the uncertainties that came with pursuing acting careers. As Cruise's professional momentum accelerated, the dynamics of the relationship began to shift. His breakthrough roles quickly elevated him from a promising newcomer to a rising star, bringing new demands on his time and increasing public interest in his personal life. The pressures associated with rapid success created challenges that neither had fully anticipated. Their relationship eventually came to an end as their careers moved in different directions. The separation was not marked by public conflict or scandal, and both appeared to part ways amicably. In later years, Gilbert would reflect on the relationship as an important chapter in her early adulthood, while Cruise rarely spoke publicly about it. Though relatively brief, this relationship marked a turning point. It was the first time Cruise's romantic life intersected with his professional ascent, setting a pattern that would repeat throughout his career. But was this early romance simply a youthful connection, or the beginning of a cycle shaped by fame and ambition? Shortly after this chapter closed, Cruise entered another relationship that coincided more directly with his rise to stardom, bringing his personal life closer than ever to the center of public attention. Tom Cruise and Mimi Rogers dated from 1986 to 1989 and were married from 1987 to 1990. Their relationship marked Cruise's first marriage and represented a significant shift in both his personal life and public image. They reportedly met through mutual friends in the mid-1980s, at a time when Cruise's career was rapidly accelerating. By then, he had already achieved global recognition with films such as Top Gun, and his status as a leading man was firmly established. Rogers, an actress known for her intelligence and composure, was several years older than Cruise and brought a sense of maturity to the relationship. Their romance developed quickly. Within a relatively short period, they moved from dating to marriage, a decision that surprised some observers given Cruise's age and sudden rise to fame. At the time, the union was often described as unexpected but intriguing, drawing significant media attention. The contrast between Cruise's youthful superstardom and Rogers' more reserved public persona added to the fascination surrounding them. During their marriage, Cruise continued to build momentum as an actor, taking on roles that expanded his range and critical credibility. Meanwhile, Rogers maintained a quieter professional profile. Their relationship was often portrayed as stable on the surface, yet insiders suggested that differences in priorities and lifestyle gradually emerged. The pressures of fame, combined with Cruise's increasingly demanding schedule, placed strain on the marriage. The relationship eventually came to an end in 1990 when Cruise filed for divorce. The separation was finalized relatively quickly and without prolonged public conflict. In later interviews, Rogers would allude to personal differences and emotional distance, while Cruise remained largely silent on the matter. Neither party engaged in public accusations, and the divorce was handled with a degree of discretion unusual for a celebrity split of that scale. This marriage represented a formative chapter in Cruise's romantic history. It was his first experience navigating marriage under intense public scrutiny, and it revealed the challenges of balancing private commitment with an expanding global career. But did this early marital breakdown alter his approach to love, or simply prepare him for even more high-profile relationships ahead? Soon after the divorce, Cruise entered a new relationship that would captivate Hollywood and become one of the most talked about celebrity romances of the early 1990s. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were married from 1990 to 2001. Their relationship became one of the most iconic and closely followed Hollywood marriages of the 1990s, symbolizing a true power couple at the height of global fame. They met while working together on the film Days of Thunder in 1990. At the time, Cruise was already one of the biggest movie stars in the world, while Kidman was an emerging actress gaining international attention. Their on-screen chemistry quickly translated into a real-life connection, and the two became inseparable during filming. Within months of meeting, they were married, a move that surprised many but underscored the intensity of their bond. As a couple, Cruise and Kidman dominated Hollywood headlines. They were frequently photographed together at premieres, award ceremonies, and high-profile industry events. Their marriage appeared polished and unified, reinforcing an image of stability that contrasted sharply with the volatility often associated with celebrity relationships. Professionally, both continued to thrive, and their careers often advanced in parallel. Over the course of their marriage, they collaborated on multiple films, including Far and Away and Eyes Wide Shut. These projects further blurred the line between their personal and professional lives. Working together strengthened their public image as a devoted couple, yet it also meant that their relationship unfolded largely under public scrutiny. Every creative decision and public appearance was analyzed for hidden meaning. Despite outward appearances, reports later suggested that the marriage faced significant internal challenges. Cruise's demanding work schedule frequently required extended periods apart, while Kidman pursued her own ambitious career. The pressures of constant media attention, combined with the complexities of balancing two high-profile careers, gradually took a toll. The couple also navigated deeply personal decisions during this period, including adoption and the responsibilities of raising children while living in the spotlight. In 2001, after more than a decade together, Cruise filed for divorce. The announcement shocked fans and industry observers alike, as the marriage had long been viewed as one of Hollywood's most enduring unions. The divorce was finalized later that year, with both parties maintaining a respectful public silence. Kidman would later describe the separation as deeply painful, while Cruise offered little commentary, choosing instead to focus on his work. This relationship marked a defining chapter in Tom Cruise's romantic life. It was his longest marriage and the one most closely associated with his peak years as a global icon. But after the end of such a high-profile partnership, could he ever rebuild the same sense of stability again? In the years that followed, Cruise entered a new phase of his personal life, one that would once again place his relationships at the center of intense public debate. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes dated from 2005 to 2006 and were married from 2006 to 2012. Their relationship marked one of the most publicly scrutinized chapters of Cruise's romantic life, unfolding during a period of intense media attention and cultural debate. They reportedly met in early 2005, at a time when Cruise was transitioning into a new phase of his career. Holmes, then a rising actress best known for her television work, represented a markedly different generation and public image. The age difference between them immediately drew attention, as did the speed with which their relationship progressed. Within weeks of being linked, they were appearing together at high-profile events, and the media response was swift and relentless. The romance escalated quickly. Cruise's public declarations of affection became headline news, symbolizing a dramatic shift in how he presented his private life. What followed was a whirlwind engagement, culminating in a lavish wedding ceremony in Italy in late 2006. The marriage coincided with the birth of their daughter earlier that year, adding another deeply personal dimension to a relationship already under constant observation. As a married couple, Cruise and Holmes became fixtures of celebrity coverage. Their appearances were closely analyzed, and every public gesture was interpreted as evidence of deeper dynamics within the relationship. While Holmes stepped back from acting for a period to focus on family life, Cruise continued his demanding professional schedule. This imbalance fueled speculation about how the relationship functioned behind closed doors. Over time, reports suggested that differences in lifestyle, personal priorities, and long-term expectations began to strain the marriage. The pressure of maintaining privacy while living under intense public scrutiny proved difficult. In 2012, Holmes filed for divorce, a move that surprised observers due to the secrecy and speed with which the proceedings unfolded. The divorce was finalized quickly, with custody arrangements settled privately. Neither Cruise nor Holmes offered extensive public commentary following the separation. Holmes later returned to her acting career, while Cruise maintained a low profile regarding his personal life. The end of this marriage marked another pivotal moment, reinforcing patterns of intense beginnings followed by abrupt conclusions. This chapter raised broader questions about fame, control, and the sustainability of relationships formed under extraordinary circumstances. After 3 marriages and years of public fascination, what direction would Tom Cruise's romantic life take next? In the aftermath of this highly visible separation, Cruise entered a prolonged period of privacy, during which rumors replaced confirmed relationships and speculation often outweighed verified information. Following his divorce in 2012, Tom Cruise entered a prolonged period marked by privacy, discretion, and limited confirmed information about his romantic life. Unlike earlier chapters, which unfolded under intense public scrutiny, this phase was defined largely by speculation rather than verified relationships. As a result, much of what emerged during these years came in the form of rumors, brief sightings, and unconfirmed reports. One of the earliest names linked to Cruise during this period was Laura Prepon. In 2014, the two were rumored to have been spending time together after being introduced through mutual friends. Reports suggested they shared similar social circles and personal interests. However, neither Cruise nor Prepon ever confirmed a romantic relationship, and there was no credible evidence that the connection extended beyond casual acquaintance. The speculation faded quietly, reinforcing Cruise's increasingly guarded approach to his private life. Around the same time, Cruise was also briefly linked to his Mission: Impossible co-star Rebecca Ferguson. The rumors emerged during promotional appearances and on-set interactions where the two were observed sharing a close professional rapport. Some outlets speculated about a possible off-screen romance, citing their chemistry and frequent collaboration. Ferguson later addressed the speculation indirectly, emphasizing professionalism and denying any romantic involvement. There is no credible evidence that they ever dated. In subsequent years, Cruise's name continued to surface in connection with various actresses and associates, often following joint public appearances or collaborative projects. These rumors typically followed a familiar pattern: brief media attention, unnamed sources, and a lack of confirmation from either party. In each case, the speculation dissipated without substantiation. This period also coincided with Cruise's intensified focus on his career. He became increasingly immersed in the Mission Impossible franchise, often serving not only as lead actor, but also as producer. The demanding nature of these projects required extensive travel, physical preparation, and long production schedules, leaving little room for a highly visible personal life. Observers noted that his public appearances became more tightly controlled, with fewer opportunities for the media to draw conclusions about his private relationships. Importantly, Cruise himself refrained from addressing most rumors directly. Unlike earlier phases of his life, he avoided public declarations and rarely appeared in personal settings that could invite speculation. This silence represented a clear departure from the openness that once characterized his romantic relationships. But did this shift reflect a deliberate choice to protect his privacy? Or was it the result of lessons learned from years of public scrutiny? And after decades in the spotlight, had Tom Cruise simply chosen to separate his personal life entirely from his public persona? As rumors continued to circulate without confirmation, one thing became increasingly clear. The absence of visible relationships had become a defining feature of this stage in his romantic history. As Tom Cruise's public romantic life grew increasingly opaque, a parallel narrative emerged, one shaped by long-standing rumors, persistent speculation, and repeated attempts by the media to fill the silence left by confirmed relationships. During this period, separating verified information from conjecture became essential, as many stories gained traction despite lacking substantive evidence. Over the years, Cruise was frequently rumored to be involved with women he worked alongside or was seen with at public events. In several instances, these rumors originated from a single photograph, a shared appearance at a premiere, or an offhand remark attributed to unnamed sources. Despite the intensity of coverage, there was often no follow-up reporting to support the initial claims. In such cases, the speculation appeared to reflect public curiosity rather than documented fact. One recurring theme involved assumptions that any close professional relationship must indicate a romantic connection. This was particularly true when Cruise appeared alongside younger actresses or collaborators during promotional tours. However, representatives for Cruise consistently declined to comment, and in the absence of confirmation, these stories remained unsubstantiated. In multiple cases, the individuals involved later clarified that their relationships were strictly professional, reinforcing the lack of credible evidence. There were also broader rumors suggesting that Cruise had deliberately chosen to remain single. Some commentators interpreted his absence from public romantic settings as a personal decision shaped by past experiences. Others speculated that his intense commitment to work left little room for a conventional relationship. While such interpretations were widely discussed, Cruise himself never publicly addressed them, leaving the matter open to interpretation. Importantly, several rumors were explicitly denied over time, either by the individuals involved or through consistent lack of corroboration. As years passed without confirmation, many of these stories faded from public discourse, highlighting the difference between sustained relationships and fleeting speculation. In the context of a documentary timeline, these distinctions are critical. This chapter of Cruise's romantic history underscores a broader shift. Where earlier relationships unfolded under constant observation, later years were defined by controlled appearances and limited access. The contrast raised questions not only about who he may or may not have dated, but about how fame reshapes the boundaries between public interest and private life. Ultimately, the persistence of rumors revealed more about the expectations placed on a global icon than about his actual romantic circumstances. After decades of intense scrutiny, had Tom Cruise found a way to reclaim privacy? Or had his silence simply become another subject of fascination? With speculation addressed and unverified claims set aside, what remained was the larger pattern of a life lived at the intersection of devotion to craft and complicated personal connections. Through more than 4 decades of fame, success, and constant public attention, Tom Cruise's romantic history reveals a life shaped by intensity, ambition, and extraordinary circumstances. From his earliest relationships as a young actor finding his footing, to 3 high-profile marriages conducted under the brightest spotlight Hollywood can offer, each chapter reflects the challenges of sustaining intimacy in a life defined by global visibility. A clear pattern emerges across his timeline. Many of Cruise's most significant relationships began during pivotal moments in his career, when professional momentum was accelerating and public interest was at its peak. These romances often developed quickly, marked by strong emotional connection and shared creative environments. Yet, just as consistently, they faced mounting pressure from demanding schedules, relentless media scrutiny, and the difficulty of maintaining privacy. Another recurring theme is contrast. On screen, Cruise built a reputation as the quintessential romantic hero, portraying characters defined by loyalty, devotion, and emotional resolve. Off-screen, however, his personal life followed a far more complicated path. Long periods of stability were frequently followed by abrupt endings, often leaving observers searching for explanations that were never fully provided. In later years, his approach appeared to change. Rather than continuing to engage in highly visible relationships, Cruise retreated from public romantic narratives altogether. This shift suggested a deliberate effort to protect what remained private, even as speculation persisted. Whether this choice reflected personal growth, caution shaped by experience, or simply a different set of priorities remains unclear. What is evident is that Tom Cruise's love life cannot be separated from the realities of his career. Fame did not merely accompany his relationships, it actively influenced them, shaping how they began, how they unfolded, and how they ended. His romantic history, much like his filmography, is defined by ambition, risk, and reinvention. After decades of passion, commitment, and heartbreak lived in full view of the world, one question still lingers. Will Tom Cruise ever choose to share another chapter of his love life publicly? Or has he already written the final act away from the spotlight?